Well, guys, this is going to be an exciting webinar because I'm going to actually be playing a replay of an interview that I did a little while back with one of our licensees, and you're going to hear her talk about the number of clients she has, how she got the clients, some of the struggles that she and her husband had at the very beginning. This makes it real because you're hearing from somebody who's actually doing well, they've already done the due diligence that you're doing now on this business, hopefully. They've already gone through our training. They have experienced our support. They've got clients. Some of them have hired employees. Some of them have opened offices. And some of them, like this couple that you'll hear from today, are still working out of their home. But at the same time, they have over 50 providers. That's right. Now, you use the term provider, meaning doctors. So if you're not familiar, when I get started here right on the hour, which we've got about 3 minutes, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what this business is all about and why you should get involved in it and why this is the perfect time to get involved in some sort of healthcare business like this one, because the doctors need your help. You can make a lot of money doing it. You can work from home completely socially apart from all other human beings if you want to. You can work from an RV going down the road. You can work from the beach in Hawaii. It's a cloud-based system, so you literally just have to have an internet browser on your computer and a connection to the internet, and you're in business. But I actually asked the lady today who's going to be on here, Laura Dean, if she could do another live webinar with me. She said, Patrick, we're just snowed, just overwhelmed with all the business that we're getting right now. The doctors have a real interest in getting involved in telehealth and having people take the billing away from them so they can focus on seeing the patients that are coming in, work on getting more patients in. And so that's why this is an important time for you to look into a business like this. Well, it's the top of the hour, so we're going to get started. Folks, thank you so much for joining us today. If you're looking to start a business that you can work from home, in fact, you can work from anywhere in the world that has an internet connection, and that's related to the industry that's 1/5 of our entire economy right now, 20% almost, 19 point something percent of the economy, that's healthcare. Very good industry to be in right now. It just happens to be that the doctors need more help right now than they've ever needed. And so you'll find out that from the interview that we're doing here with Laura Dean, that this is just the perfect timing for you. For those of you who've not been on some of our webinars, again, American Business Systems has been in business now for 26 years, helping people to start a business in the healthcare field, helping doctors with their revenue. That's right, we help them with their billing and collecting from the patients and insurance companies and government agencies and so forth. I'm the founder and CEO of the company. 26 years ago, my wife and I looked like this. And that's my son, Adam, there, who's now the president of the company, my daughter, Sarah, who's got her own business now, apart from this one. But the point is that we started doing medical billing for doctors back then, and it grew so fast that people started asking us, how did you do it? What can we do to get involved? And we taught them how to do that. So that's where we came up with the entire training package that we have today, where we do all the training online. I'll tell you a little bit more about towards the end. But anyway, that's how we got started. Here's my wife today, Linda. And without her, we would not be as a company where we are today, for sure. By the way, I am a member of the editorial board of Billing and Coding Advantage magazine, which is a 40,000 subscription magazine to everybody who's anybody in the industry of billing and collecting for doctors. I'm also a best-selling author. You'll see some of my books out there on Amazon.com and in some of your favorite bookstores. Some of these are used as actual marketing tools for our licensees. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. I'm just telling you who I am so you kind of know if this is your first time. And again, we have a cloud-based system that works on any platform. That's right. It's completely agnostic to the platform, the browser, the operating system, the computer. It doesn't matter if it's a Mac, a Windows, any type of computer, any kind of device that connects to the internet. You can log in from anywhere. Yes, you could go to Best Buy today if they would let you in, and you could buy a computer, a laptop, take it to your favorite McDonald's, for example, start it up, get on the internet, and log in and start running your medical billing revenue management business from anywhere that has an internet connection. That's why we have people like one of our couples who drive down the road in an RV, seeing the entire United States, and they do that business from the RV itself. By the way, you can look for a book in your bookstore called Start Your Own Medical Claims Billing Service. It's by Entrepreneur Magazine, which has been around for about 100 years and very authoritative. This is their 4th edition, so they continue to recommend this as one of the businesses that you should look into getting into. And we're even mentioned in the back appendix of this book. By the way, again, it's our 26th anniversary. Folks, you don't do what we've done for 26 years and stay in business if you don't do what you say you're going to do. So you can trust that we are here to support our licensees after they've gone through the training, help them to get more clients, because we make money on all the services that they offer to the doctors. We make a few pennies on each one of those transactions, and that's what keeps us able to provide support with no cost to our licensees ever. Once you've paid your initial licensing fee to us, which again, you can find out more about this on our website. We don't do a lot of selling on this webinar, as you'll see. But anyway, the point is that's how we can continue to provide support for our licensees. We are the nation's largest network of independent medical billing offices anywhere in the United States. So that gives you some real credibility when you go out in the marketplace. We've taught people, folks, from every background, every ethnicity, every religion, every political background, every geographical location, educational, it doesn't matter. If you are interested in starting a business, we will teach you how to do that from scratch, all the details that you need to get the business set up, get your website from us, which is included in our licensing fee, and all the other details of setting your business up. And we've had people successful from all across the nation. One way you can prove that is to go to our YouTube channel and just search for American Business Systems on the YouTube, and you'll find out that we have done over 160 of the interviews like you're about to see. When you graduate from our training, you're actually certified by the Medical Revenue Management Association of America, and they certify you as a certified medical revenue manager. That means you can put CMRM after your name on all of your business cards and websites and so forth. All right, so let's jump right in here. Now, before I show you this interview, I have got to go ahead and show you one other thing. This is an email that we got from Brian just before. I didn't put Brian's name on here, did I? Well, that's because the interview is actually with Laura. Brian came through our training when we were doing live training down here in Texas. We don't do that anymore. It's all online now, interactive with a live instructor. But he came down and went through the training, and now he is helping Laura, but Laura's really running the whole business. Here's his email to us just back in January. He says, hey, Adam and Tim. Tim's our director of support. I hope you guys had a successful 2019 and a big plans for 2020. I know we did and do. We've continued to grow, last year breaking over 1.1 million in gross revenue. So when I started out, I kept telling people that this was a ability to make a 6-figure revenue in this business working from home. And as you can see, we have licensees who are doing 7 figures in revenue. In fact, here's a little screenshot that we took of some of their clients. So this is Brian's, Dean, it's under his name, but I mean, this is him and Laura's clients. You can see all the types of different medical specialties that they do. And some of their clients include not just one doctor, but 6, 5, 4. There's one with 9. There's one with 18. There's one with 22, 3, 2, 4, 2, and so forth. So again, if you total all that up, you'll see that's over 50 doctors that they're doing billing for. So when we talk about you being able to make $35,000 to $40,000 per doctor, you can see how they got to the $1 million mark pretty easy there. Laura, you've never been to our training. We just talked about that earlier.
I have not. My husband actually attended. I had literally just had my baby within 2 weeks of when he had come to the training in Texas. There he is.
There he is. And look, he got his certification there too. And he probably doesn't know a thing about this business, does he?
No, he doesn't at all.
Well, things have changed since then, haven't they?
have. We have grown at a rapid pace, which has been super exciting and really scary all at the same time.
Well, it can be scary running your own business, can't it? Yeah.
I'm not complaining.
So what I'm going to do, Laura, is I'm going to ask a few questions here, but boy, I see some already coming in here today. So this is great. People are already starting to ask some questions. So folks, if you'll just address your questions directly to Laura, and you can ask any question you want there, just type it in the box as they come in. I'll read them out loud here to Laura. And, we'll just kind of find out more about her. This is your opportunity to ask somebody who's, well, I started to say who's been through our training, but she hasn't. She's started this business, folks, just from, I guess, Laura, did you learn just from our online training?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, like Brian did come down to the training in Texas, and the nice thing that, comes from the training is that he came home with a plethora of materials. There was, a ginormous binder that had sort of step-by-step, the perks of, I guess, step-by-step of, the marketing, what what American Business Systems offers, how to have a successful business. So he sort of, I guess sort of flagged what pieces really stuck out in his mind that, he came back with thinking were sort of the most important elements, and then brought it back to me. And, at that point, I, sort of did my own self-study on it, and, him and I sort of launched it together, from the training. So even though I wasn't there in person, I was able to virtually have the training from the materials that came back from there.
You were, at the time, you just had the baby, so you were a housewife, I guess.
Yes.
Now, what was your business background? Anything before that?
Yeah, as I mentioned, I was actually, an occupational therapist. I was a treating therapist prior to that. So, actually doing the day-to-day grind of doing traditional therapy on patients after, car accidents, knee surgeries, shoulder surgeries, but was working more with the clients, and then worked my way up in the management on the back end, with the corporate company that I was with. But it was more so of, again, managing the business versus, doing the actual medical billing. There was, individuals that was their specific job, but I was over all of the staff, all of the therapists, as well as, the back staff as well.
Yeah, well, this was a good tie-in then for you guys to start a business like this with your background. It made perfect sense.
Absolutely. We decided, we both had dealt with, the revenue streams, and obviously the insurance revenue and patient revenue are the only two streams that come into practices. So, figuring out the troubled areas and how to make more money on that note was, something that it intrigued us. And, we did our own research on the back end and stumbled across ABS and, did our due diligence and listened to webinars and, read all the, we reached out to different licensees and, did the number crunching on the website. And I'll tell you what, you hit that part on the website and it's pretty, it's pretty enticing to make it your own and to realize the success that you can have financially with the business was sort of where we were like, let's do this. Let's do it on our own. Let's take the plunge and try.
Yeah, and Brian can testify to this. When he was in the class, we always ask, how many of you do have a background in the medical field? And literally one or two people maybe raise their hand. It's a very small percentage of the people who come to the training that actually have some kind of tie-in. Lots of different backgrounds, educational levels, and just people from all professions. A lot of retired folks start up a business like this. So yeah, it's pretty flexible for just about anybody who can figure out how to run a computer. Now, Laura, give us a feel for how you started. First of all, well, let's do this. Let's just begin with where you're at right now. Tell us about your business, how big it is, how many clients you have, how many staff you have, and how much money you're going to send me each month.
I mean, yeah, right. Well, that last question is nothing. But to get into the grind of the day-to-day business, We currently right now are doing the outsourced billing for about 12 practices, and we actually, which is really exciting, have 4 proposals out on the table right now. The one proposal is actually in the final phases of, we're just waiting to kind of get all the contractual things in place and then get started with them. We range anywhere from primary care to, we've got behavioral health clinics, we've got therapy clinics, we've got DME companies, we've got an ortho clinic. We actually do some toxicology and pathology lab for some of our physician offices as well. So we have a broad spectrum of the different types of clients that we have. Some of them being, very small practices, and other ones being large ones. We, have a clinic that has 13 physicians in it, so it's a big daddy. But then we have, a DME company that, is pretty small. But we now have grown. We have 8 staff members, which is really exciting. But over the last year, we've grown a lot with a lot of our clients, and it's been an exciting year for us. It's even more exciting that 100% of those referrals have been from physicians that we currently do billing for. So once you get out there and once you get started and, once you make a name for yourself and you treat your clients well, it's really exciting when you get a referral, that another physician has given for you, to have another new client. So like I said, it's grown really fast, and it's been really exciting. And people question, all the changes with insurance and things changing, and does that affect you? And no, it doesn't at all. Actually, everybody still needs care, and primary care physicians and all types of practices aren't seeing a dip in their in their clients as well either.
I joke about that sometimes with our staff here. They ask me, well, what does the future hold? And I go, well, I have a crystal ball here on my bookshelf, but it's not real. So I really don't know what the future holds, but I just know this: as long as there's human beings who get sick, and as long as those human beings go to a doctor, as long as that doctor needs to get paid for what they do, somebody has to bill somebody for the doctor to get paid. I mean, whether it's his own staff or whether he outsources it to some other company like you, somebody's got to do the billing for that doctor to get paid from the insurance companies and Medicare.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, wow, that's exciting, Laura. You've grown then tremendously, even from a year ago when we talked. I just can't believe 12 practices. Does that mean each one of those practices, like you said, could have multiple doctors in there? But
and they definitely vary in size. So it really makes a difference in the type of staff that we have, or the number of staff that we have on each account, as well. So it's So one person may be able to manage a couple of smaller practices, but we also have, larger practices that require 2 staff members to, handle just their day-to-day.
Yeah. So you mentioned eight staff members besides yourself. What are they all full-time, part-time? How does that work?
Yeah, they are all full-time. We do have an additional one that is a part-time as well for us, but that is 8 full-time staff members, and then Brian and I, in addition, that are working more than sometimes 40 hours a week. But that's self-inflicted. Don't be stirred away from that.
Oh yeah, it's easy to put in the hours when you have your own business, especially if you can run that business 24/7. The internet doesn't close, does it? So
exactly. We're both overachievers. We're guilty.
Well, I love to hear that. That's why you're as successful as you are, I'm sure. Hey, here's a question from Ryan. He says, I was joking earlier when I said, how much money are you going to send me each month, Laura, because you really literally don't pay anything to ABS, do you, on a regular basis?
We do not. It is just that, initial fee up front, which gives you the materials in order to have that successful business. But the nice thing, I think, what's really important, I think, for people to know in the investment that you get is that you are part of a network of other billing companies. And the nice thing is like when we get a referral or somebody reaching out to us to do their outsourcing, and maybe it's a new specialty that we weren't outsourcing in before. It's nice to be able to have other resources and other billers that have experience in those areas that you can reach out to. And we've reached out to AVS personally, and hey, we're about to take on a new lab that does different type of pathology that we weren't experienced with. Do you have somebody that you can put us into contact with? And they do their best in being able to match us up with that. And then you have somebody to sort of bounce ideas off of. Ask the certain particular things that we should be expecting to know beforehand, so that we know if we really want to kind of dive into that. So I think having the resource and ongoing, it is an investment up front, but it's an investment that thoroughly pays off. Once you start getting your clients.
Yeah, I mean, it's like any business, right? You could start your own sandwich shop. Obviously, you know how to make sandwiches, but people pay $100,000 or more for a Subway franchise because they've got a system. It's all worked out, and they've got a network of people that they can reach out to if they need help. Yeah,
you're right.
Well, Ryan, actually, he's from New Jersey. He says, will I incur any expenses right after the training, like any monthly subscriptions or anything like that? And there is none, is there? There's no user fees, there's no support fees, there's no training fees. All that's covered by that one-time upfront licensing fee. Yeah.
That is correct. Yes.
Let's see. Ruth is saying, are we able to get that 1 week of training outside of the January and March dates? Yes, Ruth. Get back with the person who sent you the email inviting you to this, and they'll tell you we have some other future dates, of course, even after March. Daniel says, Laura, what is a D&E company? I think you said DME.
Yes, I did. And sorry, I'm so used to using my day-to-day acronyms that I didn't even think about that. It is actually durable medical equipment. So you can think of anything like walkers, canes, oxygen, braces for that orthopedics may be using. One DME company that we actually does breast prosthetics and wigs and camisoles for post-cancerous patients. So it's really anything equipment or something tangible that comes, from a practice.
Yeah. I just typed that in the chat box, folks. If you go to the chat box, you'll see what she was just talking about there. Durable. Oh, I misspelled.
Durable, not dumberable.
Oh,
but
that's
no one's
really
judging.
helpful.
No one's
That's
judging.
real helpful, isn't it? Durable. Thank you.
There we go.
Okay, let's see. Daniel wants to know also, does Laura do business in a particular state? Do you have anybody outside?
We are based in the state of Ohio, but you're not restricted to be in the state of Ohio. Restricted to be anywhere in particular. Everything, the programs that they all offer and the business partners that they have, everything is web-based and able to be achieved by, as long as you have internet access. You are able to work pretty much anywhere that you want to. How we have relationships for our clients that are not local is, you can do webinars, you can Skype, you can, FaceTime. A lot of the relationship is really just in the very beginning requires a little bit more face-to-face just to make sure that you have a really good program, kind of a protocol of how you're going to communicate with each other when you start out a new client. But after that, it really is, everything is just like normal communication, that you would be doing, via email or, phone calls or even, texting, whatever your relationship is with your physician or office manager of who's your point person in each practice. So, by all means, don't, know that it is definitely something that if you feel comfortable marketing outside of being local where you're at, go for it.
Yeah, there's just so much business out there, isn't there? I mean, it just it doesn't matter what you go after first.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
Walter says, Laura, in your experience, is the first client the hardest client?
100%. I think it's definitely, I listened to these webinars and actually, we did our due diligence in reaching out, and kind of talking to some different licensees. And, I heard these stories of, oh yeah, I left, from the training and we got our first client, 2 weeks afterwards, or some people even had things already, lined up prior to that. That wasn't the case for us. We had to get out there in the grind, and, we didn't get our first client and for, I would say, probably about 6 months. And however, Brian and I were still, I obviously had a new baby, but, he was still working at the time. And, fresh after, me getting off of my maternity leave, I was also still working, so that I had a stream of income, coming in for us part-time. But, we started out and got, once, I'll tell you what, though, when you get that first client, it's literally like the most exciting and best feeling ever.
Yeah. We have people call us all the time. We hear them on the phone screaming, I got my first client.
It's so exciting. It's really awesome. But you have to remember, it's all about timing. These practices, either they need to be open to change, they're brand new, kind of opening their doors, or they are usually disgruntled with the previous billing company that they're dealing with. So it's all about, the right chain or the right time, and to make sure that you're catching them, at that vulnerable time, I guess,
Yeah.
So you got to be okay with, hear and no. It's not going to happen. You're not going to, walk into every practice and sign every client. You're just not. It's a big, it's a big deal, but it's totally doable, and there are so many practices out there, and, it's such a huge industry. You're not limited to being local. You got to work for it, is really what it comes down to.
Now, I think you may have mentioned this to me when we were talking prior to the webinar kicking off here today, Laura, but you mentioned the fact that all of your clients basically have come from the first one that you got.
Well, not all of them. That over the last year, our growth with our business has been from internal referrals, but originally it was word of mouth. We went out and we did marketing. Brian and I both joined local networking groups just to get our name out there, just to make sure that people knew that we even existed. We did a little bit of cold calling, stopping in smaller practices and local offices. But I personally didn't see a whole lot come from that, but I've seen a lot of people that have had really good success with that. Our first referrals came from the networking group that we had joined, and after that, we've had referrals from our website. Let's be honest, it's 2017. It's one of the first places that people always look for it when they're actually looking for it, whether they're going to start a new practice or unhappy with their current company. So, I would definitely make sure, you have a web presence in there, and that's something that comes along with your licensee fee, in the very beginning.
Yeah.
And, other than that, it's been a referral. It's been referral based for us.
Yeah, that's how it happens for most of our licensees. If they're doing a good job for a doctor, they know other doctors, and if you work the doctor and give them maybe a little incentive, like maybe next month I give you a discount, 50% off your billing or something if you give me a referral that signs up. There's all kinds of ways to get referrals from doctors to motivate them. Walter, though, does go back to that first client, and he says, what strategy did you and your husband use to get your first client?
Sure. So we did a multitude of different things. Our very first client was actually, as I had mentioned, we were part of a networking group. And when I say the networking group, we joined like a specific networking group that only allows one person per industry. And they have these all over the place. So it's not only something that's, here based in Columbus, Ohio, where we were at. But it is, something that, they have like B&B type of things, and other local chapters of networking groups. And it allows you to sort of give a minute, a 30-second to a minute speech sort of every week that you're meeting, or every month, whatever it is. It's all business professionals. And again, it's, specific to one industry, only me being in my industry. There would not be another medical biller, but there may be anything from an accountant to, all the way to a moving company or a cleaning company in there as well. Well, it sort of sounds weird, that it may not work for you, but at the same time, that guy who owns the moving company might have been roommates with the guy who is a pediatrician. It was a referral. And it was a referral from somebody that I gained a relationship with in there, who took the time to introduce me to that person. And we had, it was a primary care practice that was open to a change. And, we presented them with the right numbers, and they leaped on it. And, shortly after that, we had gotten another referral from that networking group from a different individual for a chiropractor office. So it's definitely, it's just all about, getting your name out there and letting people know in general, what you're doing, what kind of clients you're looking for, how can I help you get business, which ultimately if you give them a referral, they're going to want to refer back to you, and try to help market for you too. So it's kind of like having your own little marketing team.
Yeah, that's really, word of mouth has always been the best kind of advertising there is out there. But it's getting that first one that's the tough skill. Here's one of the questions that Greg has. He says, my background is similar to yours. I came from the clinical side, and then I got involved on implementation. I do not have any marketing or sales experience. Do I need to have those skills?
No, I don't think so. I mean, obviously, if you have, if you can create a personal connection with somebody and, have a normal conversation with any type of individual, I think you're going to be fine. I think the most important piece is to really make sure that you know your product that you're really trying to sell when you go in there. So it's really just refining, knowing what you're trying to go in and sell, to make sure that you get a personal connection with them when you're in there, just like any other business meeting that you would have, or a new staff member or whatever. You want to have a normal relationship, with them from the very beginning, but make sure you know what you're trying to sell. I think that's pretty much the gist of it. You don't need to have, full-blown marketing or, I don't even be really salesy. I think the doctors are they get that day to day. They have pharmaceutical reps going in there. They got all sorts of reps coming in and out of there trying to sell different things to them. It's just making sure you know what you want to do, what you want to sell to them, making it, concise, get to the money part, how you're going to save them money, and, how you're going to make their lives easier, and that sells it in itself.
Yeah, it is. Really, we tell people the more you try to sell this, the less you'll probably sell, because they either need your help or they don't.
Right.
It's like selling popsicles in the Sahara Desert. If you've got money, extra money that you can bring to the doctor's office, there's nothing really to sell there. I mean, if you're bringing in a whole lot more money for them than they're paying you, then it's a win for them for sure.
For sure.
Richard is looking at the picture here of all these other services. I think I had the brochures up there earlier. Here they are. Some of our ancillary services that we talked about earlier. He says, has she implemented any of the other revenue streams or just iClaim? In other words, are you just focused on the billing? You said billing is your primary focus, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the iClaim is definitely our primary focus. It's the meat and potatoes of our business. However, the EMRX is a great selling point, and it actually makes your lives easier if your docs are open to it. What it is the iClaim and the EMRX actually speak to one another. You don't have to have both programs, but the nice thing is that the two programs speak to each other, and it actually can be really beneficial for a practice that doesn't have an EMR in place. EMR being the electronic medical records. If they don't have something in place, it's a great program. It's user-friendly. It allows them on the back end, when they're documenting after seeing a patient, to be able to actually hit the codes on what they want to bill out to the insurance company, and then it literally spits a claim over to you on the iClaim side, which you pick up, and you can, scrub that claim, clean it up, make sure you're sending it out to the insurance company so that they make sure that they get paid on it. Those two are the biggies for us. We have, before reached out to, we've offered the Audit Guard and also the CodeWrite. It just sort of depends on what your client is looking for. The Audit Guard is a great program to make sure that they're being compliant, documentation's in place. It can also be a really good thing for you to sort of offer as an incentive, maybe if you're trying to offer more services, right from the very beginning, or if they're asking, hey, we want to check and see if we're doing everything right, and you can do an Audit Guard or one of the CodeWrite audits, and they can make sure that they actually are maximizing on their current coding of what they are billing out. So it could also open the door for you for some of the clients, but it isn't something that we use on a day-to-day basis with a lot of our clients. Biggest ones for us are iClaim and EMRX.
Yeah, there's money to be made on all of these services, but like you said, your big revenue stream is going to come from actually doing the billing for the doctors. These are just, like you call them, door openers, really. They just get you in the door sometimes to talk to the doctor about.
And it's nice to be a one-shop stop for, for this practice that may be asking for additional things. You could make it a revenue stream, or you could build it into your current cost and offer more services to them. It's your business. You can ultimately do what you want with it, make the pricing what you want with it, and, set it up however you'd like.
Yeah, and you certainly don't have to offer any of these. I mean, well, you got to offer at least one, right, or you wouldn't be making any money. But, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's your choice. Sonia wants to know, how did you set up your business? For example, an LLC, a corporation, or a partnership?
Yeah. We did an LLC, and actually my husband, as I mentioned, was an overachiever. He also is an attorney, so
Oh, wow.
he was, we did it as an LLC, and that way you want to make sure that you're sort of separating your assets from being a sole proprietor, especially if you just sort of plan on doing this on your own and, kind of doing it independently to supplement your other income. You want to definitely make sure that you're setting up a business structure and making sure that you're separating it via an LLC or another type of corporation, but not doing it as a sole proprietor to put yourself at risk.
Yeah. An LLC always protects you, and it's not that expensive to set up an LLC either, I don't guess. With most states, you just register it with the state, don't you?
Correct. Yeah. There's different measures, but by all means, obviously we're an asset on that end. If you guys have questions about those kind of things, Brian would be happy to give you a little bit more insight on that.
Okay, and hey, Todd wants to know, are there any additional licenses that you need for credibility purposes?
No, there's not. You of course can be a certified medical biller or a certified coder. There's of course the certifications that you can put behind your education, but it is not required by any means. It's definitely, you can learn the industry without having a certification behind it.
Yeah. We're also teaching people how to use our books that you see here, folks, to help you market the services. You can build credibility because you're giving away a book, written by a doctor, Dr. Vicki Ratner, who we've partnered with for this book, and me, who, I'm the chairman of the Medical Revenue Management Association of America, the largest network of medical billing companies in the United States. So, that's one way that you can get some credibility there as well. Let's see. I'm looking at Richard. He's asking, who built your website? Did you had that built yourself, did you, Laura, or did we start you?
Well, we actually started out with the platform that came with the licensing package. And then we actually, freshly after that, hired a local company here to sort of beef it up and give it a facelift. We basically just, we wanted our branding that kind of went behind it. And however, all of the wording, all of the structure behind it was Brian, was my husband. He's very meticulous and spent a lot of time to create everything on there so that it was educational and, really made it easy for them to be able to contact us. But you do actually walk away, though, with your licensing a basic package. And even if you do spruce it up with your own branding, it's always best to start with something. It'll actually be a little bit more cost effective for you if you do actually go to some sort of website vendor that would help you to spruce it up, because if they have a foundation to work from, it would be a lot easier than going in and creating it from scratch, and it costs less. So I recommend definitely at least using it for a platform.
Yeah, we started offering those templated websites that have all the wording and really all the information that somebody needs, and there's nothing wrong with them, but boy, you could spend several $1,000s getting a really nice website.
Right.
So it's just something to start with, basically. Yeah.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what we did. We started there, and then once we had the money to actually put into it, we did.
Yeah. Let's see. Philip wants to know, in your 12 current clients, what is the average number of physicians in the practice?
Ooh, well, so we have a practice that actually has 13. So if that sort of skews our average, but I would say on average, I would say probably 3 to 4 on average would probably be most of our clients. But again, some of those, we have that DME company that's in there. We have a couple, therapy clinics that, have multiple therapists in it. But some of those therapists work part-time. So it just sort of, the average sort of, it can be skewed with some of the bigger practices that we have for the more providers, but, a little less production.
Yeah. Craig says, Laura, when you do the billing, how are deductibles and patient out-of-pocket expenses collected?
Sure. So we have different methods, of course, with every practice. However, all of the patient income, whether it's them paying off an outstanding balance or paying up front for a service for a copay, is actually collected by the front desk. So we always make sure that we have, when we're rolling out a new client, there's a really good implementation program in place to make sure that we know how to make sure that those are accounted for in the practice management system. So they're either manually entering them at the office and accounting for them that way within the iClaim system, or they are sending us documentation, sort of like a closeout sheet at the end of the day, letting us know that Joe Schmo, had a $20 copay, it was cash, we had Betty Boop that paid $25 copay with the credit card and the auth numbers on there. So it definitely varies with each practice. However, our model, that how we run our business, is we don't ever actually touch the money for any of our clients. Everything is still collected at the practices. Different billing companies do it different ways. We just prefer it this way so that we don't have the liability of handling any of their funds. Everything is really just communicated directly from the practice, whether it be, via getting into their bank accounts or them getting over that information to us on a daily basis. So again, the handling of collecting the patient money is actually happening at the practice. We are just doing the paperwork portion on the back end for it.
Yeah. Reg asked a question here that I think I can answer. He says, you serve as the application admin for EMRx and iClaim on behalf of your clients. And basically you are, right, Laura? You run the system behind the scenes and allow or disallow users in the doctor's office.
Yeah, basically you have sort of a master account, and then you can add sub-users. So you can have multiple practices. You're logging into one place, into your iClaim, and then you're able to link all of your accounts to your master account. So, I log into one place, but I can switch different accounts and go from one client to the next. Um, Most of our clients use the system in the office at the front desk, but some of them do not. And however, we offer access to all of our clients. It is actually a great selling point because there's full transparency. They're able to see what's going on with their claims, what's still outstanding, how much money they have out there, in their accounts receivable yet. It allows them to be able to log in at any point. We have some of them that get in there faithfully and stare at the numbers and are asking questions, and we have others that I don't even know if they log in. But it is a great thing to be able to market from the very beginning because you're not trying to hide anything. You're able to show them exactly what's going on with their practice. And it also, it's a two-way street. You want to make sure that you're staying on top of that account because you don't want them to see that, claims are sitting out there that haven't been paid, or there's a ton of denials or something like that that you might need to be cleaning up. So it's accountability on both ends.
Yeah, and you're right, Laura. It gives the doctor the comfort level of knowing that they can check on you anytime they want to. Whether they do or not is another thing.
And they can use it to run reports, to manage their business, to track different things. It's a really great program on the back end to be able to sort of micromanage their own practice as well.
Yeah. Annette says, how did you go about developing your first prospect list? In other words, you really didn't, we don't give you a list of any kind, right? But you developed your own prospects by going out and meeting at the networking groups. Were you talking about BNI when you mentioned that earlier?
Yeah, that was one that I know is national. It wasn't a BNI that we had belonged to here, but that one I know is national, so some people can correlate with that. Honestly, in the very beginning, we were just like, we want a client. We don't care what kind it is. So
You're not picky at first, are you?
Yeah, we just got out there. And, first of all, we actually sent a letter out to all of our family and friends and said, hey, we're going to start out this business. We just wanted to let, all of you guys know this is what's going on. Check out our website. If you know people that, would be interested in our business, we'd appreciate it if you, send them our direction. And again, that was like our family and friends, just to let everybody know what was going on in our lives. But for our first prospects, we really just sort of hit the ground running, and we weren't limited. We had a family practice, and the Chiros were our first. I definitely recommend starting with a small practice, though, especially being your first client. So don't go big on your first one, because there's definitely some things that you learn with your first and even your second client that you were like, oh, I wish I would have known that, or just things that it gives you the opportunity to do it on a smaller scale versus figuring something out for something that is moving so fast and so quickly and is so large and has high volume that you may not be able to keep up with while you're having that learning curve.
Yeah, good tips. Philip says, how often do you bill your clients, and what are the payment terms?
Sure. So we invoice them monthly, and the terms are basically it's agreed upon for every practice, and it fluctuates. So we base it on volume. Obviously, you have, for example, you may have an orthopedic surgeon, which is getting paid a lot more, a lot higher reimbursement rates on their claims than, like, say, a physical therapist, for example. So they may have, you want to take into consideration the volume of claims that you're doing for the client, as well as what the average reimbursement is for each one of those clients. So it ranges, but we do a flat percentage rate, and it basically is a percentage rate of what they collect. So again, another selling point for you, if they don't collect money, you don't collect. So obviously you're chasing every dollar and cent that's out there for them. You're not going to have those issues that they have when they have issues of staff members not following up on maybe denials or rejections. We laugh and joke about them, and we actually call them the Porsche files, because sometimes we'll go into a practice and find out that their rejection and their denial drawer has been sort of where they've shoved all of those, and it's enough money that they could have purchased a Porsche. So it definitely, again, if they don't collect that money, you're not going to.
Yeah.
So, but invoicing them monthly based on their collections is our approach.
Yeah, we do have licensees I know that bill every 2 weeks. They figure, well, that's how the doctor pays their payroll, and so they just want to keep the cash flow going, so they just go in every 2 weeks, and the doctor's fine with that. Walter says, does the system allow you to run reports, that is, rejection reports, to track the trends with the payers?
Yeah, that's a great program that they have in there. iClaim allows you to run reports for so many different things. There's probably reports in there that I've never even seen. You can run demographic reports. You can run, obviously, accounts receivable to see what's out there, what's still pending. You can run reports to see the rejections. You can run trending reports to see what codes they're faithfully using, what diagnoses that they're faithfully using. I mean, you name it, how much they've charged, how much you've received, what you've adjusted off, what are the adjustment reasons. It's very detailed when it comes to that. You can filter these reports hundreds of ways.
Yeah, and folks, those of you on the webinar who have not seen a live demo of the system, you need to get back with the person who sent you the email to this webinar and just say, hey, I want you to schedule a live demo. I want to see it myself right across the internet. We'll set up a one-on-one presentation for you just so we can show you all the different features. You have to see it to believe it.
Yeah, I definitely recommend that. It's a lot. I mean, we actually work on some other systems too that we have, utilized through some of our other practices, but we always end up winning in the end and transferring them over to iClaim because it's a lot easier. It's a lot more user-friendly. It's more user-friendly for them. It's more of like a website-looking type of practice management system versus the archaic, computer logic type of systems that were really out there before. But I think I definitely recommend doing the live webinar. It's nice to be able to see all the features that you can have on the practice management feature.
Yeah. Walter also says, how much reserve dollars would we need after paying for the initial licensing fee? Laura, what do you think? What would you recommend? Any other money that people need after getting started, assuming they have a computer, of course?
Right. I mean, I guess it really depends on how you want to run your business. So if you are okay with, utilizing your cell phone, you don't have to have a separate line, or you want to make sure that you have a fax number. There's only like small types of things that come in initially up front. You want to think about how you would run your business, and I don't really see that there's a whole lot that is like mandatory. Obviously, your business structure, like setting up the LLC, I think that's a must. You need to do that, and that comes along with some fees depending on where you live and the state, filing application fees and such. But you're not required to make sure that you're beefing up your website or doing any types of additional marketing. If you want to have a logo for your business, obviously that's something that you would put money into, but something that doesn't need to be super expensive either. You can definitely do your shopping out there and make sure that you're being more savvy with your money, because we didn't have a lot of money either to really put into it after we fronted up the money for the licensing fee. So it really is what you want to put into it, I guess, for marketing materials, or if you want to set up your business structure by having a different phone line or fax line and things as such. So it's not really a lot of out of pocket expense, so that you would be required to do to be successful.
Yeah. Richard says, do you do dental billing as well or just medical?
Well, funny you should ask because we do have a dental client, but we do not use it through the iClaim system. And we took on the client to as a trial to see if we wanted to do it, and we didn't. We're not crazy about it.
It's
However, it is something that I think, it is definitely something that you can do if you find that it is appropriate, or you have a relationship already built and, you have somebody that could be a client for you, you could easily do it. But the specific programs that are linked here with ABS are really built for medical practices.
yeah, the dental market is just, it's not that large for one thing. Not that many people have dental insurance, and uh, it's just one of those things. There are companies who offer dental billing, they say, but I tell people, look, the medical market is so huge and it's so profitable that you're probably not going to even want to mess with dental until maybe you get your business
Yeah,
building.
it's a very different industry, and there's a lot of different things that come into play with what the patients need to collect on the day one. There's a lot more out of pocket, that may not go through insurance. Just different features. It's just not as technologically easy, I think I would say, with all of the technology advances that they have in the medical industry with electronic remittance advices, which are electronic versions of EOBs that you receive at your house, those explanations of benefits that come after you have a doctor's visit. Like those things you have to go out and search harder for, and they aren't built into the system to kind of be directed directly into there. There's just not as many efficiencies set up, I guess you could say. So it's a little harder. It's more work for less money.
All right.
There it is. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
So it kind of ties in with a question here that I had from, let's see who that was from. That was from Quincy. Quincy said, do you have to make up your own name, logo, etc.? And the answer is, we actually, as part of our training, Quincy, we actually do that for you. That is, we go through step by step. How do you decide on a name that's proper for a business like this? How do you find whether it's already in use or not? How do you register it with your city or our county clerk? We can show you where to get logos designed very inexpensively. And we give you all the other details about starting up a business. If you've never been in business, folks, our license fee is worth just the license fee, just for this type of help in setting up a business alone. Let's see, I'm going to go back to some previous questions here. So Tess says, so the client will pay a percentage to me as a licensee and to ABS for them to be able to access all the features and the system. Does that apply to each doctor? I just want clarification. Yes, Tess, that is basically exactly right. You might, for example, charge, say normally you charge, let's say 7%. To a doctor for, on their revenue as to what you collect for them. Well, if you want to cover all the fees for them to access the system, it's only about $250 a month for that doctor. You can wrap that into your percentage by charging 7.25%, let's say. And there are licensees who separate that fee completely and bill that to the doctor separately. So you can do that a lot of different ways. But there's only one fee that you pay to us. And then the doctor is covering that fee for the use of the system. How many users can use the system without an additional fee? Says Sherma. It's unlimited. Unlimited users. You can sign up in a doctor's office as many people as need to access the system without an additional fee, Sherma. Okay, so let's see. How many people can do the training? Sherma asks under one license. It's unlimited, practically speaking. Since we do this online using GoToMeeting, like this system that we're using right here for the webinar, you can literally have as many people on there as you want. But practically speaking, it's probably reasonable that if you had 2 or 3 other people that wanted to be on the training, you could certainly give them a login, let them log into the system as well for the training sessions. If you want to have a business and have employees, does each person have to pay the one-time fee? No. When you hire your own employees, Agnes, you can have as many people as you want working for you, and there's no fee from us. Now, that doesn't mean that you couldn't charge them a fee to help them get up to speed and get them trained and so forth if you wanted to, but not anything due to ABS. Okay. Oh, Keith is asking, do we have telehealth flyers at this time? Yes. In fact, we're working on some of those, finalizing those, Keith, right now. Keith is one of our licensees. Keith, thanks for asking that question. But it is in progress right now and should be available the first of next week, I'm going to say. So just watch for our webinars that we do on that and announcements on our licensee support side, of course. Okay. Dalen says, if two of us are starting this business together but live in different states, do we need business licenses in both states? Now, again, our license fee, there's only one license fee, so if there's two of you can split that if you want to pay us the license fee, but you may need a license in each state to start your business there, but those licenses are, $20, $25. It's not a big deal. And folks, we're the only company that I know of that sells a business opportunity / franchise that has a money back guarantee. I mean, 100% of your money back if you don't like what you see. This is basically in writing in our agreement. Be sure and get the agreement from your ABS rep and read it, and you'll see that there's no weasel words in this. It literally says if you don't like it and you don't think it's right for you, just ask for your money back. Okay, so let's say how you could get started. Well, it's real simple. There's 5 steps. There's a research guide that is a 50-page document that has a ton of information in it, folks, that you wouldn't see on our website. You download this from your ABS rep, the person who sent you the email to get into this webinar. Get back with them and say, I want your research guide. If you haven't gotten that already, download it. It's just a PDF document. Then, of course, browse our YouTube channel. Here's a picture of it right here. We have over 160 other interviews that you can watch on there from other licensees across the country, from every imaginable background. It's youtube.com/whyabs. That's right there, as you can see on the slide that I have on the screen. Now, step number 3 is pretty simple. Ask your ABS rep for an owner reference list. Yes, we have people who've gone through the training, like Laura. I think she's actually on the list, in fact. And you can call and talk to them directly and ask them all the questions you want. We'll send that list to you if you get back with your rep and ask for a live demo of our system. Now, folks, our software does not come on a CD. You don't get a CD anymore. In fact, I don't know many computers that actually have a CD slot you can stick these things in because it's all digital. Ours is cloud-based, so we have to show that to you live, one-on-one, using GoToMeeting like we are here today, except it'd be just you and your rep. And they can take 30, 45 minutes, whatever you want to answer all your questions about our software, and you'll see it's pretty state-of-the-art. Number 5, last step, is review the purchase agreement. It's only 4 pages long, and also we'll give you the funding instructions as to how to fund it. You can send a check, a cashier's check, wire, or you can put it on a credit card. And folks, we're the only company that I know of that sells a business opportunity / franchise that has a money back guarantee. I mean, 100% of your money back if you don't like what you see. This is basically in writing in our agreement. Be sure and get the agreement from your ABS rep and read it, and you'll see that there's no weasel words in this. It literally says if you don't like it and you don't think it's right for you, just ask for your money back. Okay, so let's say how you could get started. Well, it's real simple. There's 5 steps. There's a research guide that is a 50-page document that has a ton of information in it, folks, that you wouldn't see on our website. You download this from your ABS rep, the person who sent you the email to get into this webinar. Get back with them and say, I want your research guide. If you haven't gotten that already, download it. It's just a PDF document. Then, of course, browse our YouTube channel. Here's a picture of it right here. We have over 160 other interviews that you can watch on there from other licensees across the country, from every imaginable background. It's youtube.com/whyabs. That's right there, as you can see on the slide that I have on the screen. Now, step number 3 is pretty simple. Ask your ABS rep for an owner reference list. Yes, we have people who've gone through the training, like Laura. I think she's actually on the list, in fact. And you can call and talk to them directly and ask them all the questions you want. We'll send that list to you if you get back with your rep and ask for a live demo of our system. Now, folks, our software does not come on a CD. You don't get a CD anymore. In fact, I don't know many computers that actually have a CD slot you can stick these things in, because it's all digital. Ours is cloud-based, so we have to show that to you live, one-on-one, using GoToMeeting like we are here today, except it'd be just you and your rep. And they can take 30, 45 minutes, whatever you want, to answer all your questions about our software, and you'll see it's pretty state-of-the-art. Number 5, last step, is review the purchase agreement. It's only 4 pages long, and also we'll give you the funding instructions as to how to fund it. You can send a check, a cashier's check, a wire, or you can put it on a credit card.